And now we will interview the 9th President of Israel, President Shimon Peres. President Peres, how are you this morning?
In a good shape.
We started off by talking about innovation, and we've heard your words on innovation. How is Israel doing as a startup nation?
The Israelis are doing exceedingly well, because we have to understand that science is not just a collective effort, but really it's an individual enterprise and innovation. Now the startup, I mean, people say when you started the country, you have had what to do. I want to tell these young people, gentlemen, you have to start up again. What we did is done. What should be done, you should do. And particularly when today the science is spreading over around new fields of services, of humanity, of globality. And every morning you have not just a new product, but a new idea. And today we know that it is inseparable. Innovation and values, it must go together. Because if you have a great instrument and a poor mood, the instrument will not function. Even economically, the economics understand today that mood is part of the economy. Mood makes you buy, mood makes you moody, and the feeling is as important as the production. And in Israel, I must say, the amount of innovations and applications is unbelievable. Unbelievable compared with any other part of the world. And I think the reason is, it's in our DNA. The Jewish people cannot be satisfied. So they're all the time innovating, trying to make everything better. And it goes on with the young people as it went with their parents and actually with their parents.
Well, the big innovation we heard about last night was the joining of forces between Buzzi Herzog and Tzipi Livni, and what could be a rotation agreement. You were once in a rotation agreement with Yitzhak Shamir. What do you think of that deal?
Well, that's not an innovation, that's a startup. Now, first of all, I bless every union, because we have too many parties. And the less parties we shall have, our politics will be healthier. Actually, we need two parties. We have two approaches, and I think the time has come that people will divide themselves not according to small and passing interest, but to support the main choice, the main road. One which is actually giving up the Jewish state because they don't pay attention to the demography, and the other who thinks that we shall not have a Jewish state if the state will not be Jewish in numbers. To be a Jewish state, you need a Jewish majority. A majority of declarations are not serious. And every reunion like it, I think it's a blessing.
What do you think about the call for early elections, and who are you going to support in these elections? Maybe you'll participate.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that the people who decided about early elections didn't change their mind. They have some regrets, if I'm not wrong. So I'm not going to take sides about it.
You still haven't lost hope for peace, and in our audience today, we have at least two other nonagenarians, Alexander Tzveli, our chief archivist, who has been working at the Jerusalem Post for almost 60 years, and Leah Van Leer sitting over here. And Mr. Tzveli asked me to ask you, We're always hearing about peace overtures from the Israeli side. When are we going to hear the Palestinian side making similar overtures?
We have to improve our hearing. Because there are Palestinians also talking about peace. We don't like the way they talk. Because when they talk about peace, they mean also the establishment of an Arab state. And that's apparently not concerned. But Abu Mazen does not stop to call for peace. And is actually against terror and acting against terror. We would like that he will become a Zionist overnight. This is a little bit an exaggeration. But, and not only Abu Mazen, look at Egypt, look at Jordan, look at the document of the Arab League, look at the document of the Saudi Arabias. Previously they have had one document which was called the Three Loves of, the Three No's actually, of Khartoum. No peace, no recognition, never recognize Israel. That's over, finished. So we have to listen. You know, I think the problem with peace, by the way, is not what the Arabs say, but what we are saying, what's happening. If you ask the people, they say, yes, we are for peace. Yes, we understand that we have to pay a price for peace. But then they tell the negotiators, why are you paying so much? You don't know how to negotiate. Then they say, why are you trusting so much? You're quick to trust. Now what can you answer? That you're a great negotiator? And also, you know, peace is not just a nice agreement where the enemy accepts your views. It's a compromise. And the compromise costs some doubts. You know, so I think all the time, out of my own experience, that first of all we have to convince our own people that you make peace with the people who are not having our views, who weren't our friends. We have to convert them into making the peace, and it's a hard job.
Yesterday we witnessed the death of a Palestinian minister, Ziad Abu Ain, during a protest. It's not clear exactly how he died. We seem to be seeing an escalation of violence and terror. How would you advise that we counter this?
I think in order to overcome terror seriously, we need really, first of all, to bring an end to the conflict. Without it, or at least trying to start to negotiate. So the other people will see a hope as well. Right now, the present government put an end to the negotiations for good or bad reasons. So you have to start to negotiate. You have to have a serious anti-terror organization, like the Mossad, like the Shabak, it's necessary. And you must also have a voice against terror. It's a little bit strange in my eyes that the terrorists are more louder than the people that fight them. And I'm asking myself, why does a young boy, say from England or France, not an Arab, goes and joins in the Daesh?
ISIS.
ISIS, yes. Cut their heads. Why? Why are they being attracted? And I must say the answer is not a simple one. Because those groups tell the youngsters, we know how to build a new world, a clear world. Cut some heads, and you'll have a different world. They are total, and they fall victim. I have a long talk, several talks with the Pope, who is a friend of mine. I told him, we must hear the voice of the religion. Because the terrorists use the voice of the excuse of religion. And the religious leader has to come together and say to the young people, cutting head is not a call from heaven. It's a sin. And I think we are going to organize this sort of multi-religious groups that will tell the youngsters, don't do it. We are silent on it. And the third thing that we have to do is also to address the reasons for terror. One of the reasons for terror is undoubtedly poverty, terrible poverty, lack of hope, lack of future. And we have to enable them to have a future, to have a message for the future, to have a hope. And if you say another world, and we have an audience for it. Today there are 400 million Arabs in the Middle East. There is the older generation, which is busy in a struggle of their own between the Shiites and the Sunnites, as they call it, the Dar al-Arab and Dar al-Harb, the house of the Arabs and the house of the war, because they want to conquer everybody. And but 60% of those 400 million people are below the age of 25. And just to give you an example, what does age mean? The old generation continues to separate and discriminating women. You know, the other day, the World Bank published a survey about Egypt. In the survey they say, would the Egyptians give equal right to women? The GNP of Egypt would jump by 34.6%. It's all over the foreign aid. President Obama was trying to ask me, who is against democracy in the Middle East? I'm telling him, the husbands, in the name of Allah. The young generation, many of them attend universities, don't discriminate between men and women. For me, it's a great message. And I think they have had their first victory a couple of weeks ago in Tunisia. Tunisia has many students, and the majority of them are women. And I think we are interested to have a better Arab world. The better the Arabs will be, better neighbors we shall be. We shall have.
You know, ahead of this conference, the Smith Institute conducted a poll for the Jerusalem Post, and 72% of respondents said that Prime Minister Netanyahu has harmed relations with President Obama and the United States. How do you see the state of relations with the US?
Well, after you made such a research, what do you want from me?
Now that you're no longer president, tell us though.
By the way, I didn't participate in it, so you can't excuse me. Nobody asked me.
Well, I'm asking you now. Yes. Do you still really believe there's a chance for peace with the Palestinians?
If I believe?
Yes.
100%. Look, first of all, not because I want it, but also because the Arab needs it. What is the alternative? You think they like to be poor? You think they like to be discriminated? I don't believe in it. Particularly not when it concerns 60% of them, who are the young people. And now let's understand something else. The problem around us is not just a local problem between us and the Arabs. It is a global problem. And the activities are not just here, they are all over the world. And in that world you have 1,300,000,000 Muslims. And you have 400 million Arabs. And if they'll have to take sides, I'm not sure they'll take our side. Unless we should go for peace too. And look, the parliaments all over Europe, against our own judgment, are supporting the establishment of a Palestinian state even without our agreement, which is a mistake. I think peace should be agreed, not forced. So we are in a double front. And Israel is dependent upon the global situation, economically and otherwise. So we cannot act as there is a small group here that sits and makes decisions for the world. It's a little bit too provincial.
So ultimately, Mr. Peres, you still remain an optimist about the future?
I think everybody should be an optimist. Why me? For two reasons. You know, first of all, optimists and pessimists pass away the same way. So why live as a pessimist? I don't understand. Better live as an optimist. And secondly, I feel that I am an optimist with a license. Because most of the things that I believed and those called optimistic are today a reality. And you know what I learned? I'm a super optimist because I remember the early dream before our state was founded. And we thought it's a great dream. Now when I compare the dream then and the reality now, I reached the conclusion that the dream was too small. And I'm very careful about dreams, not to dream small, so not to make a mistake. And people ask me, how can you keep young? I say, it's very simple. Ask yourself, what is the number of your achievements in your life? And then ask, what is the number of your dreams in your brain? If you have more dreams than achievements, you are young. If you think you have more achievements than dreams, you are old.
Under that definition, sir, you are definitely young. You made a video that went viral about job hunting. Did you find a job?
Yes, as a film actor. Well, that wasn't my idea. I have a granddaughter who has her opinion, very strong one, and she decided that this is my future job. so she did it.
President Shimon Peres, the 9th President of Israel, it's been such a pleasure to see you and see you so well and still haven't lost your sense of humor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I want to add one thing. While I put in the optimistic side, I have also to mention the danger. If the present policy will continue, and maybe there is the present policy is not a clear one because there is a difference between what people say and what people do. For example, if you say you are for a two-state solution, but you do everything not to permit it, so it's not a policy. And if we shall not be careful, we may lose our greatest achievement, to be a Jewish state. A Jewish state is not a matter of declaration. In demography, you count, you don't sing. And if you don't have a majority, we shall not have a Jewish state, even if the whole parliament will vote that or this declaration. And I warn, this is now the time in election to make sure that Israel will remain a democratic and a Jewish state. That was our historic achievement, and that is our historic future.
Perhaps you would like to conclude with a message ahead of the holiday season. We're approaching Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year. What is your wish?
My wish is that the light of the candles will overcome, I wouldn't say the darkness, but the lack of light of politics.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.